Sharlene and I always enjoyed travel, and in our middle years we continued to travel, and we went a number of places. Some of these places were a long ways away, and some of them were not too far away, but we always took a vacation every year, and it was very nice, and she enjoyed it. We've been in all the states in the United States. We've been in Mexico, we've been in Africa, Nova Scotia, and we've been in a lot of places. Sharlene and I talked about going to the Grand Canyon for a long time, and I didn't know whether she really wanted to or not. Well, she did. She wanted to go to the Grand Canyon. She wanted to ride the mules down the Grand Canyon, and we stayed overnight down there. And it was a very nice trip. And the thing that she remembers about it is the flowers that were on the cactus and on the Grand Canyon walls. And she enjoyed seeing those, and she really liked the mules she rode. He did bond with her, and they really got along fine. And I thought she'd be afraid, but she wasn't afraid a bit. If you could look off your knee and see a couple thousand feet down in the canyon, it kind of makes you think you're someplace where you maybe shouldn't be. We had to prepare for this trip, and my problem was I was overweight by 5 pounds, and so I did a lot of running and a lot of spitting the week before we went out there. I weighed in, and I was about a pound under the weight that I was supposed to be, and I was very pleased because I didn't want to get out there and then not be able to go. Our trip to Maine was very interesting because we hadn't been that far out east before. We were on that island probably about 16 days, and we was Nova Scotia, and we went to Prince Edward Island, which was another very interesting spot. We kind of enjoyed going to places that we'd read about or we'd heard about, and we wanted to see them. Well, Sharlene and I didn't travel with other people very many times. We did occasionally, but we liked to go by ourselves because then we could do what we wanted to and see what we wanted to and not offend anybody. And we went up to the UP. We took the Algoma train, and we went up to where it turned around and came back, and it was very scenic, and we enjoyed that, and it was very nice. The locks were also very important to us, and we went through the locks, and that was a great experience. Tequamanon Falls was a part of the Upper Peninsula, and so we did travel up there, and she thoroughly enjoyed going to the Tequamanon Falls, and we took a rowboat and went across the river, and she was able to see the falls from a different viewpoint. Well, we wanted to go to the Kennedy Space Center because it was kind of historic, and we made that trip, and it was very important to Sharlene because she was very much interested in history, and she was interested in the astronauts. And so we got to go there and really came out of there knowing more about the Space Center and the spaceship than we did when we went in. Well, when we went to Vermont, she'd heard about the reading hardware that was in Vermont, and so we looked it up, and sure enough, there it was. So we took her picture in front of the reading hardware in Vermont. Yeah, we took a trip to Ohio to see Lehman's Hardware because it's very well known, and it's got all Amish equipment that's for sale in there, and with kitchen utensils and that kind of thing. And so that picture that you see here is Sharlene in front of our RV, and it was in the Amish country. When we went to South Dakota, we went to the Wall Drugstore, which was important to her because we'd read about it and we'd seen it when we'd been on other trips. And there was a jackalope there that she got her picture taken on, and we also saw Crazy Horse, and we saw Mount Rushmore. Well, of course, I'm interested in agriculture, and when we were in Alaska, we went to the Palmer Agricultural Exhibit, and that's what this picture is. It's in front of the Agricultural Exhibit at Palmer, Alaska. Well, we visited the Canadian Rockies a number of years ago. Sharlene was always interested in Canada, and so we went up there to see the Empress Hotel, and we toured the hotel. It was very nice and very, it has history, and that's what she was interested in. Yeah, the Canadian Rockies were very important to Sharlene. They were probably one of the most beautiful places that she'd been, and she enjoyed scenery. So the Canadian Rockies had scenery, and she was very pleased to have been there. We went to Idaho. Of course, you go to Idaho, you got to go salmon fishing, and so we went salmon fishing, but at the same time, she enjoyed the scenery, and at the river, we got a picture of her with the river in the background. Well, we were going to Florida, and we had to go through Kentucky to get there, of course, and Cumberland Falls was something that we'd heard about, and it was a very popular place to stop and view. And so Sharlene said, well, let's just go there. And so I said, okay, well, we went to the Cumberland Falls, and that's the picture you see here. Well, the Florida Keys has always been interesting to me particularly, and I didn't know how Sharlene would like it, but we decided we were going to go fishing, and we were going to go to the Florida Keys. So we planned a trip and went down, and it worked out well because the person who took us fishing, he knew the waters very well, and we caught a number of fish. Well, we both wanted to go to the Outer Banks, and so we took a trip and went out there with our motor home, and we enjoyed it because Kitty Hawk was very interesting, first flight and all that we saw, and also the lighthouse at Ocracoke was very interesting because it's a very popular one. New York is something that we thought we ought to try because neither one of us were very much interested in city life, but New York City was popular and we thought we ought to go. So we went, and it was very nice, but to tell you the truth, we didn't enjoy New York or the city or the travel as much as we did traveling in the country. Sharlene had an interest in Ellis Island. She was doing some research, and she wanted to find out if she could find a person that came into Ellis Island. We never found the people that we were looking for. New York City has got a lot of taxis, and it's got a lot of different kind of travel, but we really enjoyed traveling by ourselves, and we traveled a lot of places and did a lot of things, and I wouldn't trade that for anything. The African trip was really Sharlene's idea, and I wasn't really excited about going to Africa. I wanted to go to Alaska, but we got this trip planned, and it was very interesting because the African people are they're very different in one respect, but yet they're very the same as they are in any other part of the country. We particularly enjoyed the wildlife. We got up every morning before daylight, and we got on the van, and we went out to see. We saw cheetahs, we saw leopards, we saw elephants, we saw all kinds of wildlife. And if we hadn't gotten up that early and gotten on the bus, we probably wouldn't have seen them. It was one of the most important and one of the most special trips that Sharlene ever took. On the way to Africa, we flew first to London, England, and we wanted to see the Crown Jewel, so we went downtown. We really weren't supposed to go downtown. We only had, I think, 10 or 12 hours that we were going to lay over there, and we saw the Crown Jewel. We got to see London, England, in a very good situation. Well, as I mentioned before, the African trip was really Sharlene's trip, and one of the things that she really enjoyed was we were able to purchase some of the souvenirs, and it was what we did. We didn't purchase a commercial made. We purchased from the natives, the ones that had carved like a hippopotamus, or they carved an elephant, or they carved an animal. And so she has a number of those that she has in her collection. It's been very good to have had those. Well, it was really important to me to see the joy that Sharlene had traveled. And we saw a lot of different things, and we went a lot of different places. But the most important thing to me was the fact that she enjoyed the people, she enjoyed the places, and we had a great time together.